It's nice. I'm scared about half of you last week. Didn't turn up. Is anybody else caliente, or is it just me? Muy caliente, por favor. A little bit of fan.
Yes.
Don't go crazy over there.
Don't go crazy. Just enough to move the air.
I never know what is.
That's a little crazy.
Thank you.
Can someone make the disco ball turn? Okay, so we have a couple of hours together as beings who find ourselves in this room. I invite you, please, just to give yourself 2 hours to step into the possibility of what you can become. And that should feel nice. That should feel beautiful. So whatever your highest version of you, and if you're really creative, if you really are a visual person, you can imagine a different body sitting here. And if you feel things, then you could feel a different flow in you. If you're a visual person, maybe you notice different things. But all the while, knowing that it's coming from your mind. So let's welcome all those special creatures that are developing as we speak, and bribe those enlightened beings to teach us today. Do you want to do it?
Sure.
Let's do it.
Sashi.
Hukir jishim etotram Riram inshim indegim padi Sange shindu miteruargi Drogunanda shimla druparsho Iyam Guru Ratna Mandala Kamyatayami
Sange.
Chudam Soki Choknamla Janchu Bardu Dakni Kasuchi Daki Chinyen Gipe Sonamki Rola Panchir Sange Druparsho
Sange.
Chidam Soki Choknamla Janchu Bardu Dakni Kapsuchi Daki Jinyen Gipe Sonamki Rola Panchir Sange Druparsho
Sange.
Chudam Soki Choknamla Janchu Bardu Dakni Kapsuchi Daki Jinyen Gipe Sonamki Rola Panchir Sange Druparsho.
Just take a comfortable seated position and we'll find our mind. So once you've taken your meditation posture, just do one last scan to make sure there's no tension in your base, in your legs, your thighs, your hips, tucking your tummy just a little bit so it supports your lower back. Your spine is beautifully straight. Your shoulders are relaxed and a little back, not hunched forward or to the side. Your neck is supporting your head beautifully. It's like something's holding you up from the tip of your head, pulling you up. And release any tension in your forehead. The sides of your lips should be a tiny smile there. You should feel open. And just breathe. Place your mind against the breath, and as you watch the inhale and exhale, press your mind against the sensation of that breath touching the tip of your nose. Once you've felt that, begin to do a count. And the exhale is 1, and the inhale is and the exhale is 2. And see if you can get up to 7 without your mind getting distracted and thinking of another thing. So always press your mind on the breath. Allow it to flow with the breath. Feel the sensation at the tip of your nose with the breath. That's all focused on the breath. If your mind gets distracted and thinks of another thing, it's good that you've caught it. It's a good thing. Just bring it back gently to the breath. Begin your count again. You know you're succeeding if your breath begins to get deeper. Quite naturally. So now invite your mind to just forget the body for a few minutes. You leave this realm and you bring to mind your teacher, a special being that teaches you. Ask them to please come. And instantly upon your thinking that, you feel them and you see them in front of you, seated opposite you. And now that they're here, just you and them, see if you can place your mind upon their most beautiful quality. Maybe it's their knowledge. Maybe it's their love. What is it in them that you revere the most? Think about that. Now allow your mind to create for them an offering of some kind, some beautiful thing you'd like to show them or give to them. It could be a memory, it could be a beautiful new thing. Anything that comes to mind of beauty. See if you can find in you the wish to share that with them. Watch them accept it. See it arise in your mind. See if you can watch them enjoy, have a special joy for that offering. they perceive it in a different way. Now with total trust, understanding that they could read and understand your thoughts and your mind, see if you can scan your biggest negativity in the recent past. Some darkness that arose in your mind that prevented you from being in a state of happiness or bringing more happiness to those around you. In fact, you did the opposite to what you're seeking. See if you can find a moment like that. And when you do, observe it as a third person and feel some kind of regret for having had the impulse and followed through. Realize that it will bear fruit similar to its planting. It will bear fruit in your life at some future moment, the same quality. And that's not what you seek. So in that understanding, see if you can make a commitment to yourself to make efforts to prevent that from happening at the next opportunity. And know that with that commitment, there's a cleaning that occurs in you. See if you can feel free of the inertia of that for a little second. It's possible to be removed totally if you know how. Next, I invite your mind to step into the most beautiful moment you've had in the recent time. Your mind has stepped into experiences of joy and love and brought goodness in your world. Allow your mind to be pressed tight against that goodness, that joy. Has the code in it to produce a body of bliss and a mind of purity. You've touched that thing. Allow your mind to step against that, to press against it and feel joy, feel happiness for having done a good thing in your life. Know that with certainty, those actions of thought or speech or actions themselves will produce equal results in your life. Joy produces joy. And then think of all the other beings in this room, each one of them having as deep a meaningful life as your own. Each one of them here striving for goodness in their lives, to bring and share happiness to those around them who are the same. See if you can love them like you love yourself. Feel joyful the moments of happiness that these people bring in the world. These are your brothers and your sisters. Think how fortunate we are to feel these things. Remember the buzz outside on 4th Avenue and beyond. Everybody busy, seeking happiness. See if you can feel joy for everybody that finds even an instant. See if you can watch them and feel the joy flow through them and rejoice that they are feeling goodness. And then ask your teacher, please, to always teach you at every turn, regardless the spinning of life that occurs right in front of you, regardless the choppy waves of life and the moments of stillness. May every one of those moments be the deepest teaching you can get from them. See if you can charge that request up by really thinking and believing that it is possible, that they can teach you and that you can learn. And then ask them, please, to always stay close to you, expanding. And as you ask them that, you watch them rise up and turn, face the same direction you're facing, and get smaller and smaller until they reach the size of a thumb and float just above the crown of your head, bright with light. See if you can feel the inertia of them up there, the gravity of them, the pull of them. See if you can imagine a single drop of wisdom coming from their body, entering the crown of your head, touching every part of the inside of you with wisdom. Watch that drop land to your heart, changing its quality forever. So now just take a minute to abide in that feeling, in that sensation. We'll spend another minute or so. We're going to do a quick meditation. Those were the preliminaries. So now I'd like you to press your mind against the idea of you. Who are you? Where can you find you? If you look for you in your body, where in your body is you? Are you all of your body or parts of your body? Are you the emotions that run through your mind? Are you the sensation that runs through your body? Are you the thoughts that arise? The thoughts that call you something, a good person or a bad person? A smart person or a dumb person? A loved person or an unloved person? Are you those things, or are you the observer of those things? Where does your perception reside? So once you've asked your mind that question, those questions, I want you to come back to the sensation of the body you have now. Did you always have this body? If you remember your body 5 years ago, was it the same body as the one sitting right here, right now? If you go back 10 years, whose body was that? Did you think you were that body? If you think 10 years from now, try and see what your body would look like in 10 years from now. Do you know anybody that's 10 years older than you? Similar to you? Do they have a body? What does their body look like? See if you can step into their body and think it's you. See if you can add another 10 years to that body. What would that body look like? How would it feel to be inside that body? How would it work for you? See if you can identify that body as you, as yours. See if you can watch your legs and your arms. So what now if you added 30 years? Do you know anybody that's 30 years older than you? How are they thinking? How are they looking? How are they feeling? So I'd like you now to come back to your breath. See if you can feel it fresh and vibrant in your body. See if you can feel the life force of your body. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Thank you for coming.
Let me start with a couple of logistics. First of all, try and reconnect or stay connected to the identification of who you think you are and who you're becoming. The longer you can sustain that, the nicer it is for you and for all those people that you connect with. So a couple of logistics first. Next week will be the last class that I'll teach here for ACI 3. But you guys have one more class after that, which is the class of, you get to do all the homeworks and quizzes if you've been a slacker. and you get to do the final exam cheating because I'm not watching. And then you'd be as good as Peter, who gets a certificate in front of everybody. And your head can look like his head. Really large. No. Really beautiful. Yeah? There's something special about doing the homeworks and quizzes. So if you, it helps you revise what you've learned. It helps you make sense of Hector messing up the classes. Yeah? So you go, oh, that's what he meant, but he never said it. Yeah? But it also gets it inside deeply. There's something that happens to people that study Dharma for a long time, or any kind of spiritual anything really. And there's a word in Tibetan which I'm going to try and find. What is it? It's called, I think it's called Hector. No. It's called, I'll get to it later, but in essence it means you hear things once, they have a specific meaning. The first time you hear something special, you go, wow, that's life-changing, that's amazing. And then you don't practice it. Then you just have it as an intellectual idea in your head. You think that's a good idea. You don't know what it feels like to make the effort to do it. So you jump onto the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And these classes are a beautiful garden for you to do that in, because there's so much information. Geshe Michael Roach tried to condense 20 years of monastic study into 5 years of Western homeworks and quizzes. So of course you're going to get bombarded with many concepts that are not natural to us or familiar to us. And if you get that thing, which means you become hardened to incredible ideas, they don't have as much impact the second time. They still have impact. But you're like, I remember that. What's next? It's like Facebook, yeah? And then the third time, less. And then you can become filled with knowledge or information. And you can either recite stuff or have a view on stuff. But it doesn't change you. It needs to change you. You need to practice it. So I hope that I don't want to contribute to that. I hope I'm not contributing to that, is what I'm saying. So please, that's my pitch for doing homeworks and quizzes. Please do your homeworks and quizzes. Please. We're only on course 3 of 18 opportunities, 18 magnificent opportunities that for the first time you can hear these things in some context, in some bigger context. 20 years condensed into 5. It's incredible. It's incredible. And we're like, oh, it's Thursday, here I go. I do it. I'm working away today, I'm stressed, I've got to teach. Okay. It's incredible what we're doing. It's utterly and completely significant to shift the human condition. And I hope, maybe it's the third homework that you try, you go, I get it, I need to turn this on in my life. And I hope you do. Because when you do, whatever it is, one of them will be the hook, you see. Maybe it's not this quiz and it's not this course, but one of them will be the hook that will say to you, I used to believe I can shift things in the world over here. You know, get happy by getting the boyfriend or getting the job or running away from the scary person or etc. And we're all doing that. It is what it is to be human. We're chasing the next thing, the next thing. And it's all out there. If I move those pieces away, I'll be happy. Look, I get, oh, shit, I'm not feeling happy. So I'll move these pieces away. And I'll move that. And if you get old and cynical like me, you'll realize that none of that makes sense. It works 80% of the time, 30% of the time. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes you do a good thing, a bad thing happens back. It makes no sense. None at all. Yeah? You work really, really hard at a great job. The company disappears. You slack off at a shitty job. You get a raise. It's crazy. So, but we think, figure it 90% of the time it works, so we keep doing it blindly, like sheep to the slaughter. 9 to 5, turn up to work, find another boyfriend. That'll keep me satisfied. 5 years go past. I'm still unhappy. Still want more. This is saying there's another reality. And if you tap into it, a couple of things happen. You see beyond that samsaric realm where things don't function. But what's hit me deeply lately is that when you actually begin to see it, doesn't mean you're proficient at it. So you see that way of living. You see people deeply in that mode. You recognize, I used to do that. I still have the impulses to do that. If I do this, I'll quench my thirst. If I make sure she doesn't have any, I'll have more. I think that's where me getting it comes from. So there's that realm of being. It's upside down. It does not work. So you get some insight through these things. And then you're not good at it. It's a new way of thinking. You have to get good at it. And that takes practice. So you can't practice if you don't know what it is. Am I selling the program again? I think I'm doing it again. It's really good, and I'm going to quench my thirst. But before we do that, a couple of logistics. This course is finished next Thursday? No, the Thursday after. Next Thursday, I'll do the last class and a little bit of review. The Thursday after, I'm going to invite Peter. Can you do it? Can you take charge of the room? Does everybody respect Peter? I think he's just smart.
I'll try.
It's a trick question. Yeah, Peter's amazing. Peter does things behind the scenes that not many people see to keep this place going. Yeah, keeps silent, keeps doing. Every now and then he gets angry at me and sends me and calls me fat. I'm lying. So then, not next Thursday, the Thursday after, I'd like Peter to coordinate for all of you who have not done the homeworks and quizzes to at least do the cheat sheet on the answer sheet. Make sure you minimum do homework, quizzes and exams, at the minimum. Please. And then he'll ship them off and you'll get a beautiful certificate, which is just a reminder that you spent time, 2 hours at a time, stepping into the opportunity to be that thing that you then get to practice on your cushion or out on the street. You get a chance once to do it the first time. Yeah? If anybody's seen RuPaul's Drag Race, she says at the end, don't something up. Yeah? Not that I watch Drag Race. Yeah? Whatever that is, show. Okay, we started in this course 5 things that we need to do to meditate. Yeah? What was the first one? Clean. But it was the preparation, right? Which included clean the room, blah, 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 blah. 6 preliminaries. 7 ingredients. We did that in the meditation, inviting the Allama. Did you see it? Do you feel it? For those of you who haven't been here with the entire thing, they're in there, trust me. Then we talked about the environment. We talked a little bit about what conditions you should have to have a good meditation space. I think only when you get really good at it can you do it on the subway. Don't try and figure it out on the subway first. We talked about the posture. Then we talked about the mental processes that would occur if you're practicing. Yeah, these are not just ideas only. 5 problems, 8 antidotes. Yeah, 9 mental stages. Didn't talk about it very much because I don't think it's worth anything until you're practicing. Okay, and then we finally talked about the object of meditation. We began doing that last week. And so we said that was going to be for the next 3 to 6 months. Yeah? You're going to have an opportunity to do many other spiritual practices or inner healing practices or whatever, but this is saying you habituate your mind for a certain amount of time and something comes out for a certain amount of time. So we're saying let's habituate our minds on the Lam Rim called
The source of
the source of all my good. It's not a tomato sauce. Yeah. My jokes are really funny. I know you don't think so, but they are. So, what else can I tell you about the source of all my good? It's who's had a look at the reading at the structure of the source of all my good? Okay, cool. If you have not, it looks like this. It's on page 65. It's online. You should all have it. And it looks like that. But it's not that, which is the English translation only. This contains every single step to enlightenment, including, but not an explanation of, the secret teachings. So you have the open teachings of Buddhism, and then you have the secret teachings of Buddhism. And they're secret, they're self-secret, self-keeping secret. Meaning that even if I told you all the stuff, unless you're prepared, unless you have a basis, unless you have the foundation, which is the open teachings, the sutra, the stuff we're learning here, it won't mean anything. Which is like the worst thing that can happen. That nothing happens. That you still live a life trying desperately to get happy, doing all the things that for millennia humans have been trying to do. You know? I'll have an affair and I'll be happy. That didn't work. I'll get more food and I'll be happy. That didn't work. I'll buy a castle and I'll be happy. Yeah, so I want to talk about what it's like to meditate on the Lam Rim. And so remember there were 3 types of meditation we covered last week. What were they, please? Single-pointed, analytical, or review. So the kind of meditation you should do for a few weeks on this is review, which would look like what? We did it to the 4 real truths last week. Yeah, so first of all, you just remember the structure, you just remember the content. But here you're sort of remembering 2 things, right? I would love it if you could remember the text. If you did that, you'd be a superstar. Yeah? If you could remember the sort of, which I obviously can't because I'm reading it, yeah? The source of all my good is my kind Lama, my Lord. Bless me first to see that taking myself to him in the proper way is the very root of the path. And grant me then to serve and follow him with all my strength and reverence. I would try and remember that. Yeah? And then I would look at the structure and go, what the hell does that mean? Yeah? Because it sounds awfully culty to me. So you've got to understand what it means for you, for your practice. How does that get you to Buddhahood? And so we're going to talk this week about, actually we talked about it last week, didn't we? We talked about why take on a teacher. What is it to think about somebody as a teacher? How many teachers do you have? What's a heart Lama? There's all these ideas that come in. That for me really was the very hardest thing to break in me. No one needs to teach me anything. I know everything. I was 20 something, you know. Who teaches me stuff? I know things. So I was proud, you know, but ignorantly proud, because I also wanted things to change and I didn't know how to change them. I can figure it out. And there were people available to me at every level of life. The practical life, like financially, I was a mess. There were people around me who could help me and teach me how to take care of my finances. And I just didn't pay attention. There were people around me that could teach me how to get rid of my, fix my body. You know, get rid of the issues I had around my body. Obviously that didn't work. I never took a teacher. Yeah. Same for your mind. And then imagine that you look after your mind, your body perfectly for your whole life. What's the best outcome? You have a really old body that someone puts in a box. But it was healthy while you were 20. I'm not saying don't take care of your body, I'm saying take care of your body. Yeah? But the best you could do, if you just pay attention, is bye-bye. What if you take care of your finances? I mean, there is a beautiful freedom when you stop chasing rent for the month. I don't know if you all remember that. You know, your mind is not occupied every other second to think, how do I get food and rent? How do I get food and rent? How do I get food and rent? Everything is an opportunity for food and rent. When you fix that, let's say for 6 months to start with, you go, your mind can go naturally onto the next thing. But your mind will go on to what it's habituated towards. So mine went into sex and food. That didn't help. Because how much food can you get in your entire life? And what's the best outcome? So, at some point, someone comes into your life, if you're fortunate, or some terrible thing happens in your life, if you're fortunate, that wakes you up and says, hold on, I'm just sheep. Can one be sheep? We're just, how many, if you had to pile all the bodies that came and left this world, and you had another planet floating next to planet Earth, and you just grab the last 100 years, 200 years, 500 years, you think they were any different to you? Like they wanted lesser things than you wanted? They were you. All of them. So the Lam Rim says it doesn't have to be that way, really, and it's not like magic goo-goo things. It's like practically and logically you can prove certain stages of the path, and then at some point you get some insight that let you get different aspects of this path from asleep to awake. Asleep to what? Awake to what? There's something instantly available all around you right now that can give you that thing. But something's blocking you, and so these steps will help you unblock that. And then you've got to do some stuff to produce the outcome. Our minds are no different to everything else that comes and goes here. It's got causes and conditions for it to flower and grow. So this set of words, I mean, it's bizarre when you think about it. First of all, I go back 100 years, nobody in English could hear these in English. Nobody. Maybe 70 years. Nobody could understand that there was a process, certain number of steps that can get you to wake up. We all wanted it. And all of a sudden it was produced. And there was much rejoicing. Hooray. So, memorizing the words will make your mind question, why do I need a teacher? Because somebody might come into your life that turns these things on in you. And if you're human, if you're like normal schmo human, you'll want these things. Because at some point you'll get tired of them not working.
Isn't everything and everyone teaching us stuff? What is so special about that special teacher? Like, what's the difference between?
Well, everybody's teaching you, and there's lots of answers to that question, but at some, there's what's special about that one teacher. It's like they open a door to a completely different universe that you didn't realize you knew you wanted it, but you didn't know you were close to it. I want all these things, yeah? I want wisdom, I want insight, I want to understand how things work. I thought I did, I can only talk from personal experience. I thought I did, and then somebody walks into your life, and they blow that out of proportion. They explode every conception you've ever had, and they teach you something that you cannot ever refute. In other words, if you're thinking of the world operating this way, like we're all busy doing these things, and then they show you the planet from outer space and say, look at that condition, and you were totally lost in the condition. And then they say, turn around and look at bliss. Look at what is possible. And that is such a tiny, tiny thing. But you thought happiness was somewhere in there, understanding was somewhere in there. It's like, you know, if I had blonde hair and a nice ab, I'd be happy. Just one. I didn't want 6. I just wanted one. Yeah. So they touch a nerve inside you, a psychic nerve. I don't want to sound too wishy-washy. They touch something inside of you that you can never turn back from. And then you know. Ultimately, they are produced like every other experience you experience is produced. But initially you have to pretend to have this play with them. They teach you you're a dumbass. They teach you you fail. They teach you you do a little bit better. They teach you you succeed at something. They teach you you failed big time. You thought you had it fixed. They teach you. Yeah? But then you have this complete and utter trust in them. After fighting a lot. Yeah? And at every step, they were right. And it's not like you're manufacturing, you're inventing it, it's happening that way for real. But you ultimately can only see that if your mind has the causes to see that. There's only ever a teacher in your mind's perception of a teacher. There's no teacher separate from that which you experience. That's the emptiness of a teacher. So if you want to connect karma and emptiness in regards to a teacher, to have people around your world that give you wisdom, you know that if you've studied karma and emptiness, is that things are empty of having that existence in and of themselves. So the fact that you're being taught something is karma ripening, yeah, produced by previous karma, previous moments of you wishing that other people had insight, seeing somebody make a mistake and go, I can help you there, genuinely, deeply, yeah, creates a seed in your stream of consciousness that pops up as somebody teaching. So once you see that, how that functions together, you can plant just the right seeds that have the right shape and size that will produce the most massive, strong teacher in you. But you would have already done that. And then something pops. So if you've got a crappy teacher, a medium teacher, the best teacher, everybody will look at them differently. They don't have that in them. So what's special about that teacher? That one teacher, the heart teacher, the essence teacher, is the one that elevates your belief around what is possible in a human life. At some level, we all want out, but we think we're just... We ignore death in the West so much, yeah, that it doesn't exist. You know, we even put old people away in homes so we don't see them walking around. It's true. I mean, in South America, you have to live with smelly grandma, you know, until they come and get her. It's not like you can put her away. Nobody can afford it. So we don't even have to see what we are going to be like later, which lets us have this totally blissful ignorance that things are going to be okay. Things are going to be okay. You know, things are just going to be okay, really. Yeah? Everyone's popping off the planet, and things are going to be okay. So when you tap into that nerve that turns on that teacher for you, if you understand that they come from you, then you hold on to dear life and you go through mud and sky until you get some more. I'm lost. I'm not sure where I'm supposed to go next. We talked last week about the root of the path. So that first thing, the source of all my good is my kind Lama, my Lord. Bless me first to see that taking myself to him in the proper way is the very root of the path. And grant me then to serve and follow him with all my strength and reverence. That is really challenging for Western thinking. Okay? Welcome to... Welcome.
I have a question. What the word follow him? Like, which kind of follow him?
Today's class we'll talk about it. Yeah. Just still connecting last class's thing. So we talked about what's a teacher last class. We said there were 10 qualities of a teacher. And then if you couldn't find them because there were schmucks like me in the world, you had to look for at least 5. Yeah, that was in the 1400s. And it's like, if you can't find those 5, then put up with these 5s, right? Do you remember those? Yes. What were those? Let's see if we can remember some of the qualities of what would guide you that you're connected. So, first of all, you'll have an impression upon them. I'll tell you, when I met Geshe Michael Roach, if I look at my life over the last 20 years, I can tell you that the period leading up to meeting that person was filled with a repulsion for... It was like I knew I was going to meet them. I don't want to sound kooky, but here I go. I knew I was going to meet somebody intuitively, and so I rejected anybody that had a teacher. So I moved into Manhattan for the first time, and I move in with Chris, and Chris has this massive picture of Guru Maya, some yogi chick, and I'm like, you're a loser. But like my first thought walking into this guy's, well, I don't know him, but if he's got to follow somebody, he's got no personality. And I was better and he was worse. I mean, it was a really strong impulse, a rejection of teachers. Yeah, this guy had a beautiful practice and devotion. I don't know what happened to him, but I planted some bad karmas there. And then some strong things happened in my life that forced me to question: am I doing the right things? Am I doing the right thing to get happy like I thought I was getting happy? So it was work, I was working my bum off. I was going to be successful in this particular way of being successful. And I was doing all the things that I thought I had to do, but it wasn't working out. There was always a catch. And then the relationship thing is another story. I wanted to get happy in there, and that didn't work either. The money thing was another thing, and that didn't work either. And so very strongly, within a short period of time, I didn't see it at the time, things were zooming in to give me a stressful moment that forced me to say, I've got to do something about this. So I found myself sitting in a class like this, listening to the loser at the front, going, learn to meditate. I'm like, maybe meditation will do it. Yeah, I really walked into it that way. And then all the cuckoos in the class went, oh, you've got to meet my teacher. You've got to meet my teacher. I'm like, you're like Christopher. Honestly, this is how I went through the beginning stages of finding a teacher. Everything was like not doing it. And then one day, maybe 3 months into that, I don't know how long, I'd avoided going to meet the teacher, and it was this dude called Geshe Michael Roach, yeah? And it was 1994, I think, 95. And he comes out of the cab on 6th Street. Everyone's gathering around him, giving him flowers, and I'm like, what an egomaniac. Honest. First thought. And he's kind and smiles at me. And they're like, oh, this is Hector. We told you about Hector. I'm like, yes, this is Hector. The guy that had 20 years in a monastery, a Sanskrit scholar, Russian scholar, Sanskrit scholar, did I say that? Tibetan scholar, English scholar in his own right. He's wearing a red dress. This is Hector, yes, this is Hector. I had long hair. It's gone. Yeah. Honest. And he reaches out to say hi, and the corner of the back of the cab was between us. And when I touched his hand, something special happened that I completely hated. Yeah, I'm like, and over time, after some fighting inwardly to all these ideas, and the fighting was what got me to understand them. Yeah, I see him in a different way. Yeah, and then he was kind enough to grab the essence of what his entire life's focus had been to that point, and to share a drop with me. That made sense to me. So after seeing everybody crowd around him, and me trying to refute him or correct him or all these things to satisfy my pride, the other part of my life was really falling apart, you know. So I thought, if all that stuff he's talking about is right, then it should work to fix my problem, because my problem is really important, you know, because I'm Hector. So, you know, I asked if he'd have a coffee, and he had a coffee with me, and I said, no, I don't care about any of that stuff you're teaching. I just have this one problem. If all that's true, my problem could be fixed. You know, and I was like an idiot. Like I was just giving him... anyway. So he gave me a practice, and he... he made me promise to do it correctly, which was the best thing he could do. And he said, and then I had an out. And if it doesn't work, after 3 months, I don't have to see you again. And I'm like, woohoo. But I did exactly what he said. I followed, despite my better judgment.
Did you have a feeling back of your mind that it's true? Is that why?
No, I was desperate. I mean, I'm talking to a guy in a red dress in a coffee shop. Like, it's crazy. I should be having a career. You know? I was desperate. Things weren't working. And hopefully you'll get there. You know, I don't know if it's your 5th relationship or your 3rd relationship or your 20th job or a disease. I mean, the other significant moment he said around that time for me is we were in a classroom of maybe 150 people, and he was doing a public talk, and he said, maybe half of you in the room know what you're going to die of. The rest don't, but you're going to die too. You know, he said it in different words, more eloquently, but that's what I got away from it. I'm like, I couldn't say no to that. There was wisdom in there. It was revolting. He described the condition so perfectly that every other action we do is to ignore that. We get busy doing all the other things, you know. We get busy about being busy. We get busy doing this stuff. I've got to do this stuff, right? You know. If you learn nothing else, step number 1 is find them. There is somebody on the planet that does that for you. And if you don't know who they are, look for them. How do you look for them in the Buddhist way?
You make them.
You make them. Huh?
I said help somebody else find them.
Exactly. You go help somebody else find their teacher. How do you make them? Someone else find their teacher.
You be the qualities that you want for other people.
Yeah. What was that thing I forwarded? That thing you posted out in Facebook? What was it?
From Lama Maru?
No, it was a little sign about I want to find a boyfriend.
What was
Like,
it? I have a boyfriend.
I'll go on Facebook in the break. Anyway, I digress, but yeah, don't digress. Step one is having that experience for you. It's not going to look the same, it's not going to feel the same. You might have already touched it, but it should feel familiar. If you're in the room, you're in the room for a reason. If you've got something happening, trying the normal way will it's just Band-Aid. It's festering down there. And honestly, this world, the outcome is very clear. And it's not about being okay with things being shitty. It's saying you can transform that completely. And if you do the practice, you begin to Buddha, to wake up. Wake up to what? Oh, it's like we're doing things upside down. So step number one is you find a teacher. So we gave you some of the qualities. What were some of the qualities of a teacher?
Good ethics,
Good ethics. What does that mean?
purity of body, speech, and mind.
Avoiding the 10 non-virtues.
Cool. What does that mean? when you connect with the person, you find them. How do you check that they're not killing people in the basement?
Stalk them.
Stalk them. That's good. When you find a teacher, stalk them. Seriously.
For 7 years, right?
For 7
Traditionally.
years. Yeah. Yeah. Who was it? Lord Atisha? Cliff? Was it Lord Atisha who went to Indonesia to 7-year journey or more? 11 years.
To find his teacher.
To find. Yeah, across the ocean on a raft. Yeah, to find Sir Lingpa in Indonesia, who had the secret, who had the bodhisattva practice, the whole practice on compassion. And then imagine 7 years on a raft in the middle of... In his robes. In his robes with a bunch of other monks. And but searching this one teacher who had this wisdom, and he risked his life. It was the year 750. Tisha? 9, 7? Hey, my God, talking about lamas. Man, no, that's sheep. Yeah, so then when he gets there, after all that, years and whatever, he doesn't go straight to the teacher. He doesn't go to this door and goes, I've arrived. He waits. He stalks him by asking his students, what kind of teacher is he? He checks him out. Analytically, cleanly, respectfully, checks him out. And only then does he go and turn up and say, I'd like you please to teach me these things. I come bearing gifts. But he was certain first. Yeah. So quality number one, find your teacher. Step number one, find your teacher. Do you remember there were 4 divisions to the Lam Rim we talked about? Number 1, taking a Lama. Yeah. 4. Number 2, how to practice. Good. And purify your mind. Yeah. Then the last 2 are request for help, practice, and pray to achieve your goals. Yeah.
What was the last one?
A prayer to meet lamas and achieve your goals. So number 1 has 2 parts. The root of the path is my kind Lama, my Lord. That has 2 parts. The first one is developing faith, how to think about your Lama, which we talked about last week, the 10 qualities or the 5 qualities or the 5 qualities. And how to act towards them. And just a quick summary on how, once you find this person, and even if you are working to produce this person, how would you act towards a being that has every single answer to every single problem you could ever have? If someone was sitting on the other side of that wall about to walk in right now, and they had in them every single knowledge that you require to transform your life completely, if they had the cure to the most horrible disease, if they had a cure to death, and they could teach you the formula, really, and they were on the other side, how would you treat them? How would you act towards them? So this is the kind of charge you want to have when you first meet this teacher. But ultimately, the way to serve your teacher, and you've all had teachers, people that taught you beautiful things in your life. Think about the qualities of a teacher for you. If your mind was a weave, yeah, and you removed a thread of that teaching, of that teacher's influence in your life, you said, if I didn't know that stuff that they showed me, if I removed that thread, what's the impact on my life? So who taught you the ABCs? Who taught you language? Your parents, right? Remove language, remove reading from your life, and now spend however many years you are living without language. It's the same for the teachers. The ultimate way to serve them is do what they say, practice. Like they're telling you how to transform your life if it's this kind of teacher. And then for you to watch them watch you successfully do those things is the best offering. You don't need to hang out with them. Yeah? In fact, it's so much sexier for you to know that you are making an offering to this being over there. Everybody's crowding around them or doing something. And you're being patient because you're practicing your patience. You're being mindful. You realize that all this is coming from you anyway, that it's your projection. We'll do a whole teaching on that. And so you very deliberately do one thing at a time, slowly building this magical world of offerings, of putting into practice everything they taught you. And you struggle with it. I mean, you have to come to struggles with these things. It's not easy to be ripped out of that condition into a different condition. And then at some point, that entire garden flowers. And they know you did it by putting into practice what they taught you. There is no better offering to them. That's the purpose of their life. That's what they've devoted their life to. And so to watch one person do that thing well is the biggest joy.
Joyfully.
So that's it. Remember, that's called Drupad Chupa. Drupad Chupa. So how do you know that you're serving them? How do you know that that's working? How do you know that putting into practice these kind of things are working?
You're happier.
You're happier. That's what it should be. Things that used to bother you don't bother you. Not that you don't care, they're just you see it differently. They don't exist in your life anymore. So just imagine, just like the analogy with rent, chasing rent and food for next month. Imagine if you never had to worry about that again in your life, ever. It was just taken care of. Would that feel nicer?
Yes.
It'd be nice, right? And that feeling nice is so temporary because it's just a rent of keeping your body in the house. But it binds us so much. So imagine what it would be like to have that kind of feeling about all the suffering we experience, all the hurts, all the mood changes. I was so moody today. I was so like, today. I'm like, where's this coming from? It was perfect for practice. Because you see where your mind is at. Yeah? So imagine that you don't have any of those disturbances. That total freedom. What would you do with your life? Be screaming downstairs. Trepto was the word I was trying to remember. What's trepto?
That's when you get...
Well, you get hardened to these ideas. Trepto.
How do you spell it?
They Trepto. Yeah?
Oh, I've heard that before.
You have? No. Oh, I've heard that before. Peter made a joke, everyone. That was funny. I wish I'd thought of that. Damn it. But the interesting thing about trapdoor, and think about it, because it means that you have to have a special kind of attention, and you have to see when you're losing focus, you have to wake yourself up. It's nobody else's responsibility. And we'll talk about how we do that in just a second. But trapdoor, they say, it's like the feeling, the condition that a dog gets when it gets beaten all the time. You know, so like, stop doing that. Stop. After a while, the dog's like, okay. Okay, yeah. It's like that. That's trapdoor. So don't become that to the highest wisdoms you can get.
What do you mean by that? Like, what do you mean by getting hardened?
You get hardened to the idea of like the dog, after a while, the hitting doesn't hurt them so much. Or hearing these things twice, 3 times, 4 times, you just turn up and go, oh yeah, there's something nice about coming to the class, but I'm going to come and zone out. Oh yeah, I heard that. Yeah, something about emptiness. Yeah, okay. That guy in the corner, he's hot. You know, like that. Yeah? You know. I mean, I've seen you before in the class. So the next part is how to practice and purify the mind, which is today's class, which is an hour late. And is it really? Wow. Okay. So I don't have Tibetan on the wall for you.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry.
So this is how to practice and purify the mind after taking Allama. So imagine that you find this being, or you've learned to produce them, and if you don't know how to produce them, you can learn to produce them. There's plenty of qualified Dharma teacher producers in the room. Seriously, I mean, Sam is a perfect example. Everybody say hi to Sam. Hi. He's not gay, okay? And Sakura is also a Dharma producer. So is Peter, so is Emily, so is Javier, so is Jen. Yeah, lots of people here. Yeah, I have created incredible teachers. So I know because I'm teaching them. No, kidding. They come to my class to make me feel better. So there's 2 parts to that part. So welcome to Tibetan Buddhism. So how to, after you've taken Allama, how to practice and purify your mind. So there are obstacles to getting learning. There are obstacles that we've built up in that habit of being that we need to clean up in order to really get to see the big aha. Okay? So the first one is, and you'll see it in the words of the text, it's use this precious life to do something important before you die. So there's a whole practice, there's many practices around taking the essence of this life. Yeah? So do something with this precious life. Think about all the other beings that come and go and come and go and come and go. Some of them don't even have the opportunities we have for the leisure and fortune we find, and we'll talk about that after the break. And the next part is how do you go about that? How do you go about taking the essence? So first part is to say, how fortunate am I? Let's take stock of that. And I'm going to share with you a couple of things after the break that lets you take stock and go, okay, I'm that fortunate. Now that you feel that, and you will if you pay attention, you go, what do I do? What do I do with that? I've got a certain amount of time. And we did in the meditation, remember I did in the meditation maybe 10 years from now, 20 years from now? Who felt a little bit yucky that I was going to continue forward? I felt like I didn't want to go there. It's this thing we have. So we'll talk about it after the break, how to do that second part, how to practice and purify the mind by understanding this precious human life and what we can do to take the essence of it. After that, I want to cover one more step on the path, and then next week we'll do the entire thing, the rest of it, which is 3/4, yeah? and then the following week you'll get to review and have any questions and have a discussion with Pete and the team. And when I come back, I'm going to South America for 3 weeks and then Denver. We're going to start the 4th course, ACI 4, and I want to set a date. I think it's May 17th or something. Okay, but in between the end of this course and the beginning of the next course, I'd like to make sure everybody has a practice, which is how to meditate on the Lamrim. When we begin the next course, there'll be a few of you who'll come to that course, and I'll be grateful and thank you very much for that. But from now on, we're only talking about meditating on the Lamrim. There'll be new students who come to other things, but for them, they won't be doing that. So we'll begin a practice here that will give you some results. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Welcome back in 5 past 9, yeah? Or 10 past 9, 10 past 9, that's good.